61. You know we be chilling. That's how we do. Chilling with the best fine girls in the world, bro. Yesterday, seen them in person. Seen them in person, made food for some. Just was on girls, man. I was trying to play it so cool. I did. I just didn't get a number, bro. Just no number, bro. DDG and Wiz Khalifa Instagram. My Instagram live interview.
Any questions?
How did you become the Capital One Bank guy?
I've always been passionate about no fees or minimums on checking accounts.
Black Hollywood went #1. No, it didn't. How drunk was I when that album came out?
Bro, you're not even as talented or as cool as him, so don't be an asshole. Like, cause Snoop is the coolest nigga ever.
Yeah.
I travel, I do two-hour sets, I kickbox, I do hot yoga, I got kids, I got dogs. Normal niggas would be like, one of these gotta go.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? I am Billboard Deputy Director of R&B Hip Hop, Mr. Carl Lamar. And today, for Billboard in Conversation, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Cushion OJ, Wiz Khalifa.
What's up, brother?
Khalifa, man. You know, we're gonna talk everything from the new album, Cushion OJ, the world tour. If you still got that gym regimen going, you still out here fucking up the weights. Saying less, we might do a little bit, you know, weight competition.
That's whatever, man. Push-ups, do functional push-ups.
I see you lost me the functional push-up. I don't know what the shit said. What's the functional push-up?
It's like a three-way, like you do scap half, and then you do scap full.
You see, you throwing words out there I never heard of before, bro. Like,
We're gonna stick to this.
yeah, that's on some ROTC shit you gave me with right there. But not real talk, man. Congratulations. This is the 15th anniversary of Cushion OJ, man. Tell me some of your fondest memories making that classic.
Really just like the mode that I was in, like tapped in with the fans, being on the road, buying Jordans, wearing Chucks, wearing camo shorts every day, literally like smoking Cushion and drinking orange juice and just, you know, putting the world onto a whole lifestyle that we were living.
That was a fucking movement back there.
Yeah.
Mesmerize still be ringing in my head, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
What were some of your favorite cuts that you still love performing to this day? I'm curious.
Mesmerized, Kid Frankie. In the Cut was a real fun one to perform. Still Blazing, that always goes off, especially at the weed festivals.
Obviously, you decided to come out with the sequel. Sometimes we can't put out a sequel, it can be a little scary.
Yeah.
You know, but what made you decide that this was the perfect time to drop this sequel?
Just really being tapped in with the fans and the people who like support the music the most. I kind of just sat back and, you know, tried a few things and, you know, seeing what they were in the mood for and what they expect and really want from me. And that's what I went in on the most to deliver, you know, the best way that I could.
I mean, obviously, you have a couple of classics on your, you know, Cabin Fever, Tale of All the Dice, but Cushion OJ is something special. What makes up a Cushion OJ album?
Something player, something for the ladies, something motivational, and something to smoke to.
I love.
Yeah.
I like those elements right
Yeah,
there. I like that. Were you a little nervous though, knowing the legacy that Cushion OJ has, to try to make sure that momentum is still up there for the sequel?
No, I wasn't nervous at all. It was something that I felt like I could challenge myself to do, but something that also I would know if it was it or if it wasn't it. And there was a couple times, during the process where I would get to be like, maybe I'm done, maybe I figured it out, maybe I did do it, but the fans and the people will always let me know which direction it really shifted in.
Yeah.
And when I finally got to the end of it, I'm like 100% confident, like, yeah, so it wasn't scary, it was fun trying to figure it out.
I love that. I mean, during this rollout, it's been a fire rollout. You've been dropping a shit ton of freestyles, some Lucy's, one including Billionaires with Conductor. Conductor in Taiwan, like, how did you link up with Conductor? Because he's been like a producer of the moment these last few years.
Yeah, he's been, he's tough. Like, I've always wanted to rap over some of his beats because they're like soulful and, you know what I'm saying, they just have certain elements that my music carries as well. And then I did a song for his album that released maybe last year. So we've kind of always been in contact. And I just reached out to him. I was finishing up the album. I was like, yo, send a pack through. And it was really easy. He hit me up the same day and, we just started working like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Another person, record just came out, 5-star with Gunna. Y'all get teamed up on the Tyler Galley record. But this is the first time y'all really linking. What was it like working with Gunna?
It was really cool working with Gunna. I got to go to the studio with him and just vibe out, and I did a song for his album as well. So we kind of did like a swap type thing, but it was just good to work with him and just get that vibe, because he's on the same vibe too, but he's just from Atlanta. You know? He on some player shit, so.
I was gonna say, he's on some P shit. It's kind of like, I feel like y'all could have a little joint collab the way y'all just vibe with each other.
For sure, because it's just based off of the same vibe, man. Everybody kicking it, everybody chilling, some ladies around, some good music, it's good vibes. And, that's the type of energy that we want to bring.
And y'all could be some gym rats, man.
Oh, for sure, yeah, we working out.
I love that. Call me up, we get busy in the gym, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I was telling you ahead of the interview, I love the rollout and how strategic you've been. Like, you put out 5 to 6 different records leading up to the album. What made you decide to be this methodical? Because this is a rollout we haven't seen in a long time in hip hop.
Yeah, I wanted to do something that made sense for now.
Yeah.
And just dropping the project wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to extend the experience, and in doing that, I actually gave myself time to drop the right type of album.
Yeah.
Because if I would have put it out, when we started releasing the music, it would have been over with by now. But we're just getting started, so yeah. We hooked it up.
The Day One Tailors, they're gonna appreciate the fact that you kept it authentic, as we spoke about before the interview, bringing in Day One cats like a Chevy, like a Juicy, like a Tide on this project. One, talk about the chemistry that you have with each one of those guys and why it's been able to stand the test of time for this one.
It's really just about creating a platform, like rather than sharing it. Because some people say like, I'll share my platform, but we could have made any type of song for these albums, but for this album, but I wanted to make sure that their moment was the right type of moment.
Yeah.
And it has to make sense, and it's got to be significant to the story. And those dudes are always significant to the story. So that's why we could, go back 10 years or, however many years. Me and Ty just got one of those plaques for 1 billion a billion streams for or not. And he just brought me out at Coachella, like, you know what I mean? So it's cool to have rich friends.
Shout out to the rich homies. Man.
Yeah, man.
We love the rich homies. You brought up Coachella, that just recently passed, man. You also came out to 3-6 and did 23. Talk about having that moment on stage with 3-6 at Coachella, and again with Ty as well.
Yeah, it's really motivational for me, because I used to ride around, I still do, but like when I was 16, 17 and got my first car, I have my system and my speakers. I'm playing 3-6 Project Pat
Oh yeah.
all day just because of how the beats sound.
Right.
So to go from that to, like you said, really being friends with them to the point where he'll call me and have me come out on stage with him at Coachella and perform a hit record that we have together.
Yeah.
You can't buy that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So to be able to just do that, I think is something to really appreciate, and I'm really grateful for that as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Along with some of the singles you've been dropping, the freestyles, whether it's been, Squabble Up, you rapping alongside with Russell, man, you have been on a fucking run right now. The level of motion is A1, man. Talk about just this reinvigorated spirit you have with rapping, or was it always there? Because cats, I've been saying this is like throwback Wiz we're getting right now.
Yeah, I mean, I did it strategically where I started working on the album and then I kind of just removed myself from social media for a minute. And it was about like 4 months where I didn't even scroll, I didn't digest anything.
Wow.
But yeah, it was on purpose because I had to find myself. I had to figure out what I was gonna do regardless of what was going on around me. And the moment I figured that out, I picked up my phone and I put my foot back on the gas.
Wow.
And shout out to my cameraman DK, because we'll do some stuff that night and then we'll shoot it and we'll post it. And just the consistency and the intent and the actual work and the scheduling that has went into it, that's what's paid off in the effect of what people see now.
Do you find yourself unplugging more than usual and knowing how effective it was for your writing process?
I see the importance of unplugging. Because, I kind of got forced into it. And then I do yoga, and I was at one of my yoga classes, and somebody was telling me that he felt completely fine not having social media. And it never really made sense to me before because I had done so much through social media.
Yeah.
But at that moment, and then coming out of the yoga class, you have like a certain clarity. So it happened at that moment. I was like, man, maybe I'm gonna try that. And I was gonna try it for like a week, and I really benefited off of it. And I was like, wow, I'm just gonna see how long this lasts. Yeah, and it worked out for me, and it didn't bring anything down because I wasn't trying to go after anything at that point. But as soon as I started to, integrate, I just seen the numbers going up and going up and going up and going up. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So there's a good thing of taking a break and then, getting back to it.
You being able to benefit of you unplugging, one of the things that came out of it was the Clouds remix.
I roll another one and call it art. Origami, you can smell the smoke on my...
So we would be picking a winner to go to.
Modern look. Thick, absorbent layers. But these...
Hey, what's up? I'm Joe Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'm talking to Grammy Award nominated, multi-platinum rapper and entrepreneur, Wiz Khalifa. Let's go.
Smoking on gas, I'm smoking on pip, that's my kind. I don't want no bad times, I don't want to have bad.
That's the modern, I think, independent artist is like, they understand the major label distribution, but the independence of it is like, do the records come back to me?
Right.
And
Exactly.
I think the younger artists now understand that, where I didn't actually.
It wasn't set up like that before, to where you could just basically, like you said, license out an album, but not be locked into a, 5 or however many album deal. Like
10 records, 5 records.
Yeah.
It was different back then.
Yeah.
But the artist came, because back then, if you were like, I wanna do a license deal,
right?
No one, they would laugh at you.
They would be like, hell no. Not unless they didn't think you were valuable, because they'd be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, if you have that cult following and you're able to sell, they're not going to see that because they're used to having to promote you and put you on that level. But if you're able to do all of that stuff yourself, and they kind of like downplay it, then they would do that back in the day.
What part of your career did you feel like, or do you feel like, you figured out how the whole thing works?
It was really when I figured out who my fan base was and figured out how to keep them entertained.
Right.
More than anything. When I would try to make songs for the label or just, work with situations that other people thought were the best ideas, that never really connected. And it wasn't because it wasn't good stuff. It just didn't connect. It wasn't what was going to put me like at the top. And when I started making music for the people who I knew I was entertaining, then that's what was allowed me to block everything else out and just do what I thought was cool. And that's what took me to the top.
Yeah, because you really do have, it's interesting, you have plenty of charts songs, like most streamed song on YouTube or this or that. But you have, I would say, like, that's like one aspect of your catalog.
Yeah.
Is like there's hit songs.
Right.
But then there's a whole other aspect to your catalog that if you go to your show, you see the songs that everybody loves.
Yeah.
They like the hits.
Right.
But then there's fan favorites that feel like it's part of a group of people that have been with you a long time.
Yeah, it's a bigger story to the hits. I think it's just me being able to exercise my talents and my ability. Because if you put me in a position where we're writing a big song, I'm going to do well. But I don't lean on that to be like, I'm the dude who makes hits. I love music and I love what I do and I'm great at what I do. But I'm really, really for my fans, my community, and whatever they say goes.
Yeah, it's like it's a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I think you do have a way of including in your, so if you go to your Instagram, you're just living your life.
Yeah.
But you found a way to make your life also your job.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is very sustainable.
Yeah. I think I come from like the beginning of the social media era, and that was really what it was all about, is just being yourself and not really having the facade and all of that stuff. So like you said, I'm able to just live my life and that be the brand, which I feel really fortunate and blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say almost like you built a model, because it's unsustainable to do some shit that you actually don't really like to do.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff, it eventually like comes down, like it crumbles, or, you could be successful and not be really happy. And that's not the goal, for my generation. Just coming up and seeing, the pros and the cons of kind of like portraying stuff that you're not. Like we know how that story ends.
Yeah.
So
you learn that lesson from other people. Really.
Exactly. We watched other people do it, so we kind of like figured out how to spin it. And me personally, just growing up in Pittsburgh, which is like a blue collar town, we don't really have too big of an industry or, anything going on there. So I'm really like level-headed with it, you know what I mean? And that's always been my angle, is being relatable, you know? And it's like, when you see me, I got jewelry on and shit like that. So now it's like, okay, maybe I might not be able to get to that level. But yeah, I started out where you are. Now I smoke pounds of weed. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to show people, like, you can, not show people, but be an example of, being yourself, being happy, being healthy, sticking to the things that you love and the people around you, because everybody still sees me with the same team as well. And they see me with from before, that I started with.
Yeah.
And that's all part of the story, is, just staying down so you can come up.
My perception of you, and we've known each other from around.
Yeah.
But my perception of you was always working class, real roots. Like your team has been with you forever.
Yep.
You care about Pittsburgh. Yep. It's like, it's evident in everything you do. Even the jewelry and stuff, I would say, is more of an aspirational kind of, it's not even like a flex. It's like it's a bit more of the rock star thing where like, well, what do you expect? Like, It's cool. It's like cool. It's also tasteful and cool. You know what I mean? Like there's some style to it. Where sometimes you can see someone who just bought the jewelry because they thought they were supposed to buy the jewelry,
Right,
and it's like, who picked that for you?
Right.
Versus someone who has a bit of taste or design with how they put it together.
Right.
But I think there's aspiration versus kind of I'm just spending the money how I think I'm supposed to spend it because this is what everybody else has. I've always found you somehow, and I don't even just say in hip hop, but in entertainment at large. I've always found like you have always existed in your own like corner.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I do, and I think it just has a lot to do with how I came up and the time that I came up. Because when we first met, I was on Warner.
Yeah.
And you know they were kind of shopping me around based off of a single and things like that. And there was no way to really know where I was gonna end up from those days. But after that, like immediately after that, is when I was able to like just lock in and just find my own critics, like people whose opinion that I cared about way more than anything else. And as soon as I started doing that and releasing music at my own pace, whether it was a mixtape, an album, a video, or whatever it is, I started to develop a confidence where I was like, I know what's up, like, you know what I mean? And that allowed me to really, like you said, build that corner, that world, to where I could just create from there and not really be distracted at all. And even if I want to take a little break or take my foot off the gas, or I'm trying different things, I do all of these things with confidence and knowing that, you know, the people who I'm reaching out to, they're going to understand it and they're going to get it. And, you know, everything comes from that. There's been a lot of opportunities that I couldn't have planned myself, whereas like, I don't take credit for everything, like, yo, I know this, I know that, but I am always ready for any situation just based off of being really, really sensitive to, you know, my crowd and just having a genuine love for what I do and love for the people that I do it for. Like, that's my inspiration. It's not the money, it's not #1 hits, it's not, you know, awards or anything. Like when I got my first #1, I didn't even know what that whole process was. I was just having a good time, having fun. So a lot of the stuff that happens to me, I realize that it's the energy that I put out. So I just keep putting out great energy.
Yeah, it's kind of, I see it as the like great example of to find what it means to be yourself. And actually just double down on that every time. But double down on how I feel, my intuition. Opportunity comes when we go forward. So I'm just going to keep going forward, doing what I think I should do. Yeah. And you really do, you strike me as that guy who's just doing what he thinks. At any given moment, you're doing what you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not scared, you know? I'll try some stuff too.
Yeah.
But that's how we figure out like whose opinion is the most valuable. Yeah.
And it's funny because then you have your life that's, let's say it's like your work life, right? You gotta go, you whether it's the music you're making or you're touring, or I mean, you have a lot of shit going on. I want to know more about the MMA and the fighting because I think that's like one of the coolest aspects of you.
Thank you.
Because you're a very chill guy, but you also train and like I know you could like fuck somebody up.
If I had to.
Yeah, if you had to. Not that you want to. But then you also have your real life. In the, not to say that's not real life, but then you have fatherhood. And you gotta, and that's a whole other aspect of life that I didn't know about until I was touring for 15 years and then I had my kids. And then it opened up another, almost like a whole side of the house I didn't know existed. And I had to find the balance between who I am out here to the world or whoever, and then who I am at home with these people who they think it's cool what I do, but they don't really give a fuck.
Right.
Especially if it takes me away from too much.
Right.
So I'm always trying to find the balance of like how much I let that impose on, you know, the relationship I'm trying to have with my kids, because my relationship with my parents was broken. So it was very important to me that I like knew my kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And I know you are a very man, super engaged father because I've seen you around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think our kids went to school. Our kids went to the same school at some point.
Lower school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw you in Little League.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in it.
Yeah.
How do those two worlds mix?
I'm trying to think of like a cool answer, but there is none.
Yeah.
I think like
That's
just
honest.
being I think just being passionate about both.
Yeah.
I had to learn to sacrifice on both ends. There was a time where I would be in the studio all the time, and like I would get anxiety if I didn't go to the studio.
Yeah.
But having my kid let me know that it's all right to not go to the studio some days, or it's okay to plan it where maybe a week you might be heavy in the studio, and in a week there's no studio. You know what I mean? So it's like preparing for those things, and then there's times where I feel guilty for being away.
Yeah, me too.
Like you just don't want to be away. You want to be there for certain things, or you call off as much stuff as you can, but then there's just some stuff where it replaces. You can't. So I had to give myself grace on both ends and just kind of not be so hard on myself. The time I know and what my intentions are, and that's the best thing about it as being a good dad is you care.
Yeah.
And any dad that I meet who's like juggling it or can't really figure out what's going on in between, I'm like, you got the first step down, you care.
Yeah.
Like motherfuckers don't care, Like they'll just go on and put stuff in front of it and be like, I gotta do this, and make excuses. But if you're like tripping and you're like trying to figure it out, that's the first step, is to care. And then you try to take action and you figure out what takes its place and what that looks like. But caring is the first part, and I think the more conscious we are about that, then it all starts to line up how it wants to. And now I'm at the point where I can work out, tour, go to the studio, make content, hang out with my kids, get him from school, make sure that he's got his work done, make sure his clothes is this, and I got a newborn daughter now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm putting her to sleep.
Yeah.
You're
back in the
changing
trenches.
diapers. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like it all happens together. Nothing replaces anything. I'm not losing out on anything, and it's just because I care.
You're articulating something that I thought the same thing for a long time. The first step is that I actually am stressed about this. It just means that I care about how they feel and what experience they have with me as their dad.
It's a beautiful thing.
And they're actually wiser and stronger than I'm giving them credit for, because when I explain to them I have to leave or go away for a month and we're gonna figure it out, maybe I'll fly home on this day off or whatever, they understand it more.
Right.
And they understand what's at stake.
Right.
So I'm also making a living for their life.
Yep.
And actually, I think kids who have parents who are trying to balance careers and they're doing it with them instead of shielding them from it, they understand actually how life works a little bit, and they're the benefactors of it.
Yep.
I also think what you hit on caring is actually sounds kind of dumb, but when you tell an artist all you got to do is care, care about that thing more than anything else, and you'll likely have success.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same with raising kids.
Yep.
You just care about it. That's like the greatest song you'll ever be a part of.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, you get to be a character in their story.
Yep.
They have some great story.
Yep.
But I always try to give my kids more credit that they're stronger than like some mistake I could make or some day I missed because.
Right.
But finding the balance is always the stressful part.
Mm-hmm.
When you care about what your kids getting out of life.
It'll keep you up at night.
Yeah.
It'll have you questioning a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny, man. I guess that's the actual struggle of every dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe there's some guys out there listening that would say like, oh, it's easy for you guys to say.
Right.
I'm working 50 hours a week at this job I hate, and I'm missing bedtime, and I'm getting up and leaving before they even get up. But that's the same struggle.
It is.
It's the fact that they care and they miss their kids and they're trying to figure it out makes them a great dad.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Yep.
It's the modern dad, though, I think. It's a different generation.
It is a different generation because we're able to tap into that.
Yeah.
Before it was just the dad thing to do, like, up, I'm out.
Yeah. or I put a roof over your head. Like, thanks, Dad.
I'm asleep, get out.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, I worked and I gotta play with my kid.
Yeah.
And I gotta take them somewhere like dope, and like I can't just let somebody else do it because I know how much they care about spending the time with me. Like,
yeah. And you want to.
Yeah, it matters. Yeah, and freaking like, yeah, that stuff matters. And it makes you feel so much better when you do it too.
Yeah.
Because you dig deep, you're like, man, I gave that shit everything that I could, and I just feel good. Like that's the reward.
It's a good tire.
It is. It's the best.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do. Like, I've already proven myself that I could rock the biggest show and I could do a song and blah, blah, like, you know what I mean? So what do I need to keep running to go prove that to anybody for? I'll do that when it's time to. When it's time to pay a bill or when I plan being creative. It doesn't have to it doesn't, you know, my passion for my kids, my family, and just that balance and them depending on you and knowing that you'll be there or knowing that you're not there, but you'll come back.
Yep.
They got to learn all of those lessons. Yep.
It's the greatest one.
Yep. Love the kids.
Yeah, we're lucky we got healthy kids.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
I always think about that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that part of your life, aside from just balance and figuring out how to make it all work, do you feel like fatherhood has affected your art?
Yeah, I think it affects my art, being a father. It doesn't make me like censor my art any. I think fatherhood, like I said, it takes the anxiety away from the art for me because it let me know that I'm more than just an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like before I had my kids, like that's all I had was my art, and
it was a lot hinging on that being successful. Every time.
Right, and this is just a new stage of being the same artist, but it's just handling the art differently. So the way that I handled my art in my 20s isn't how I handle my art now. But I'm still the same artist.
Yeah.
And I still create great art, but I just handle it differently. And definitely 100% having children, you know, it changed that. But when I do create, I would just say that to me, it made like longer periods in between like those big moments. And that's not even true, because when I was a kid, I worked forever, and then it popped off. And then, so you got to work forever again. And so that's just what being an artist is. Yeah, never mind. My kids don't got shit to do with that.
I mean, I think it just makes you, because I think you said it, and I agreed with it when in my head I was like, oh, it just made me give a little bit less of a fuck what the outcome of that was. Because when I go home, that's not who I am, and I forget about it.
Yeah.
And then I wake up the next day and they're like, oh, the song came out and it did this, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Great. And then your kid's like, it gives you something else to like. That doesn't define you.
Yeah, it changed me 100%
Doesn't
in
define
that
you
aspect.
anymore.
Yeah, like I'm not just an artist. Like I'm not just leaning on that. And I was thinking about the time frames of like when I create and like when I feel like I'm in my bag the most. But I'm constantly creating, like regardless. But I don't put so much pressure on that creativity. Like I don't look at everything like this is that moment. Oh, this is everything. One, this is the one right here.
Right.
Like I'm not doing that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I like this shit and it's cool. You know what I mean? I'm having a great time doing it, and whatever happens, happens. And I just keep that flow of creativity going until I'm like, oh, okay, now, we need to do a tour. We need to do merch. We need to do this. We need to do that. But I'm not looking at everything as if, you know, that's the end all be all when it comes to like the creativity and the art. Like I love my art and I love what I do, but my kids just help me to, you know what I mean? They inspire me more to just, you know what I mean, create just regular shit. I don't gotta be crazy or anything like that to be inspired anymore. I look at them, I get happy, I listen to the music that I enjoy while I'm with them, and I think about how that stuff makes me feel. So I'm not really even creating from the same space sometimes. Like, I used to be in a strip club, like,
creating from that space.
Different time, different age. But I do think that that's also just a lifetime of experience where you actually start to see how nature works.
Yeah.
You know, you've been in the environment so long, you can read the leaves.
Yeah.
You can tell what weather is coming.
Yeah.
You know what the different predators are. You know what the different food you can eat in there is. You know, like when I think about the music business and music and how that intersects, because we do just make art, but then we actually have to go do work.
Right.
And we have to make decisions that affect the business.
Mm-hmm.
And any artist that denies that they are not an entrepreneur, that denies they're an entrepreneur, is denying themselves.
Right.
If you are not an entrepreneur in the music business, making a living, making music, you want to deny that you aren't a business person, then you should quit.
Right.
Because this is a bit of a jungle. And the longer you're here, the more you understand how all of it works.
Right.
And you have these intuitions and these feelings. And you see what an opportunity is. You can smell it or see it, or because you've been here long enough.
Right.
You also know who's full of shit. And you move through intuitively.